Welcome back. Welcome to another episode of Nain's Shorts. Talking about training and all the little things we think about that we don't always say out loud, but sometimes it's important to talk about. Uh, this week's class was actually incredibly interesting. One of my classmates is preparing for their black belt tests that they're going to get in the Blade Mind Ronin. And the class sort of evolved from there. And I very specifically use the word evolve because that's sort of what we saw happening in the moment, in real time, in our own concepts of the art itself and how we interpret it. And that's the thing. It was myself, it was this other student, and my daughter, which, as you guys know from a couple episodes ago, she's been doing this now for 2 years. So she's still fairly new, but has her own concepts and ideas that she's already developing on her own in reference to fighting and how to use everything that we've done. We've mentioned this before that in FMA, we all do the same strikes. We may call them different things. We may put them in different orders, but essentially, two arms, two legs, there's X amount of things that we can actually do, and the angles themselves are, well, just that. The angles, how you place them, how you use them, to each their own. We're not saying anything about that, but we have a lot of the similar movements. So then what changes is the mentality behind it and how we come about those ideas. And in this particular class, each and every one of us was able to teach something to everyone else at our level. And it wasn't a matter of, oh my God, I have to teach somebody. We were actually, at least for me, very happy to share, just because of what Rick shared prior to us kind of evolving into this sharing of the minds that happened in class. And that was a template, and it really is just a template of how to then put together not just the physical movements, but the mentality and the ideas that we've learned, all the concepts and the non-physical things, the thought process that goes into the idea. Like, we talked about the brain punch, we've talked about the anatomy of a strike, we've talked about the incidental timing, as well as the proximity changing your target. All these concepts that we've shared on this platform all of a sudden started coming up on their own in reference to this. And it was simply just the idea of, okay, what is actually going on in this situation? And are we capitalizing on everything we possibly can by being aware of these things, these concepts that we put names to, and that now we can discuss and share with one another what our interpretation of those concepts is for that particular moment. And it was as simple as just taking a blade, for example. You use the spine is one of the parts of the tool that you can use. You know, you have the butt, you have the blade, you have the tip. But the spine itself, it's good to hit little flicks here and there. You see people, especially close quarter Kali fighters, they use the back of the stick a lot to flick and cause damage. And all it really was is from an angle one, bringing the blade over, clearing the weapon, getting it out of the way, and then whatever happens. And that's insert your stuff here. And because of that little example, we started evaluating, well, okay, what other targets are available? Oh, the lower half of the body. Oh, what if I don't feel like going to the throat and cutting? What if I want to come over the top instead? Oh, it's the same concept. You're just clearing the weapon, but what you do afterwards is you, the individual. And each and every one of us was able to express that and articulate why we would go in that direction, even to the point where we were all given the same parameter of, like, this is the idea of the brain punch. You getting the other person to do exactly what they're supposed to do in a given situation that you create, but it gives you the advantage overall. Say, for example, your weapon is being taken care of, your hand is wrenched, and all of a sudden they're going to strike you. you're going to put your arm up. You're going to try to protect yourself. They're that close. They're coming down on you. That's an automatic gesture that most people will do. But in this instance, it's exactly what we want the person to do, because it gives us the hook. It gives us everything else that we will do afterwards, all on the idea of what is going on in their brain. And that just developed into this whole idea of what's going on in our brain as we are doing this, and we're using these concepts to affect our opponent and how we can capitalize on that effect. It made me start thinking about, well, what's going on in our minds? Because all the other students, they mention of things. They were talking about, okay, well, this is what's going on here. I tied myself up here because of this and that. And I'm like, okay, well, there's your brain punch. You limited your mind to that one thing by responding to a situation by grabbing the hand instead of using an open hand. Rick? Hi.
Hi.
Yeah. So, again, it started off with a very simple, he gives me an angle one, I come up behind him, and I strike. Cover this, and then whatever I'm going to do, I'm going to do. But there are so many ways that you can go about it, and depending on the person that you are, that can become many different entries. So, give me the angle one more time. What if I just go straight into that? And that's just a cut. Because again, it's a blade, right? If it was a stick, then yeah, I'm going to hit him. Then it's here, and I'm just going to strike while maintaining control of the hand. And like I was saying earlier, that the idea of taking care of this first thing, what are you bringing to the table? Is it a physical thing where you just move out of the way, but without any thought process? Or are you really trying to get into the mind of the individual to get them to respond the way that you need them to? Case in point, he strikes again, I roof block, and I take this, and I show him that. Now, that's one, his hand is being taken care of at the same time. So he has to do this. He'd be dumb not to. He wouldn't just stand there and get hit in the face. But again, I want him to do this. I fed this high so he could do that. So I can get this hook, and I can get the rest and finish off what I need to do. So again, the brain having to respond exactly how it needs to. But the great thing about this class was that we realized that it also affects the individual that's performing whatever technique or movement it is.
And before Nain continues that, one of the other things about this is that, because a lot of the stuff that we do because of the bladed mind idea, right, is that even when he first gets this piece, we're grabbing it in such a way that this is easy to do. His brain is affected by that, so he's really concentrating that. As this other strike comes in, so now his brain is thinking of two different things, which he cannot really do. So whichever one he focuses on, it's irrelevant. I pull this down, I hit, and I come in. Again, because we're affecting that brain that says, oh my God, and he says, oh, out of panic, he sees something else coming. I have him, and I can just
Let go.
let go of that stick and do whatever I want. So, and that needed to be emphasized because, again, we're really stumbling his brain, making it think about too many things and doesn't know which one to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
He'll lose power on either side, depending which side his focus is on. So these grabs become much easier, and these attempts become much more intuitive. That like, oh, I can just do, because his brain is going to do what it feels it needs to do, and that's to defend himself. Oh my God! Oh shit! And there we are. So we're really punching the brain, so to speak, right? So,
right. Well, then the realization I had in class as we were all discussing, giving our own interpretation of this concept, was that the moment that we take any definitive action, say for example, I block this, and then I grab his hand. The harder I grab his hand, the more I'm already tied into this idea. So if I do nothing with this, if I just keep it here, that's all I'm going to ever do. But I also limit myself to what I could possibly do because I haven't done anything significant to him mentally. So now all of a sudden, while I'm standing here wondering, okay, what do I do next? He's going to attack. Or at least he should. I mean, that should be the right mentality for anyone who's going to do that. So just the simple idea of getting your hand on there and turning it, oh, now I'm giving him something to think about. And it gives me the time to be able to then, oh, well, what options do I have? Let me get that hand out of the way. Oh, now. And I take it wherever I want to go. But that same idea of being able to catch the hand without any context would freeze the student. One of the students had grabbed the hand and it's like, okay, no, we don't have any weapons, but I don't know what I'm doing next. I'm going to hit him with this empty hand. So you limit yourself by making something so concrete, so definitive that you have no other options all of a sudden. And that, to me, is the interpretation of the brain punch, but to yourself. Because
Right.
we do it all the time. Like, who hasn't hit themselves with their own weapon while playing? You loosen up, your stick bounces back. It happens. But when you do it to your mind and in a real fight, all of a sudden that becomes a lot more significant on whether or not that's going to be useful or detrimental to you. Because all of a sudden your brain stops functioning just because you're so fixated on doing this one specific thing that you don't see all the other options that are available.
And another way to look at that is how we affect people's brain is when he throws a punch and I do this, right? I become married to this. And if I don't let go or do anything, I can have a hard time. But also, his brain is also fixated on it. So now we're connected to in this thing here.
This chain, yeah.
Right? Like, oh shit, we both,
Like, hey.
when he moves it, I'm going to be moving with him, and so forth. So if that's the case, if I block it though, and I just do this, and I don't grab, his brain doesn't feel any resistance, and it doesn't think anything is wrong. So if that be the case, when he throws this, I go, right, I didn't grab it. Now I can, because I didn't register anything in his brain that becomes fearful. He'll pull this back and whatever else, and I could run into things. But again, I don't want to let go because I just got this, right? How many times do you hear people, you're not married to the stick, but yet a lot of people will not let go of that stick.
It is the weird human thing. Like,
Yeah.
I've seen stories like cops talk about how they fought for like 15 minutes for that gun when he could easily grab something else and hit the guy with it.
Right.
But they're so fixated on, no, I need to retain this, then I need to, and they fight for it for a long time when it's, wait, I have all these other options
That I can
available
hit
to
him,
me.
yeah.
The
Pull out the
stun,
taser on the other side.
taser, yeah. But so
Yeah.
you it's a human thing, but to understand it and then overcome it, well, you have to study it and really be aware of what's actually going on. And if you just go through the motions, well, you might never get there.
Yeah,
is
you're
what
missing
I'm
the
saying.
point.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to go walk away now. I had a great time. Thank you very
I
much.
appreciate you.
Bon dia.
So class, like I said, was a lot of fun. It was everyone sharing their own interpretation of ideas and concepts. And because of this one idea, and it really was just the idea of the brain punch and how does it affect it, all of a sudden, each one of us, as students, started bringing back lessons, ideas and concepts that we understood, connecting the dots between them and solidifying the reasons why we even learned them in the first place. Not that we didn't have a why before. The Bladed Mind has been very adamant about explaining why we do certain things and why we progress to the next level at certain times. But to be able to then on your own create these meanings, not for the sake of the class, but for you, the individual, it drastically changes the way that you are able to then perform these things. Now, again, this is just my experience from this particular class and the 12 years that I've been training with Rick and the Bladed Mind. But it seems very obvious to me that, yeah, that's what happens when you start understanding, when you go beyond just doing the physical and really knowing the whys behind the physical stuff, and then you can start putting it together and it becomes your own thing. It becomes your own understanding, and the way that you use them flourishes. Because all of a sudden I had all these ideas. Oh, I could do this, I could do that. Oh, that thing that we practiced 6 years ago, but I haven't done it in a while, all of a sudden comes up and it has a time and a place. All of a sudden I'm noticing the influences of Rick's other martial arts, his Kempo karate, his Wing Chun, all of a sudden becomes very visible. I start seeing how the outside and inside ones of Sarada came to be. Not in somebody standing there and giving you their arm, but in real movement, how that became possible. Yes, it's trained this way so you get the motions down, but to be able to use it in movement with somebody who is not giving you their arm, I started to see the possibilities of those things. And again, not because I've trained those arts specifically, I've been shown a few of those things, sure, but I haven't trained in those art. But I can all of a sudden start seeing and understanding the whys behind it because they are now visible in real time, in real motion, by using these concepts and ideas to develop what I understand. And again, it's not anybody else's, it's just my understanding, my experiences, the things I've been exposed to, the things that I've retained that I didn't know I retained until I was given a platform where I can express myself. And that's what this class became. It became that art side of it. Not that we really focus, but that's the creativity, the expression of the individual with all these tools, the same angles, the same movements, 2 arms, feet, and all of a sudden each one of us sort of blossomed into our own identity when it came to the martial arts. And I thought that was the coolest experience to have, especially on a Sunday morning. And I just wanted to share that with you guys. I don't know how many of you have had those moments where all of a sudden everything clicks and you're just creating. You're no longer following a punch art or a grab art or a pinyon or a kata. You're not following a form that you've done thousands of times. You're just moving and it's effective and you're getting your points across. You're communicating with your training partner that, yeah, that would have killed you, but we're laughing about it because we're just giving each other these expressions of the things that we've been learning for however long we've been. Nisa did her thing. She's been doing it for 2 years. She expressed as best as she could with her limitations of understanding. Eric did his thing. I did my thing. And even Rick, which I now realize has been sharing his own ideas the whole time. Even though he puts them in the format of a lesson and we follow the moves, but ultimately, he's just expressing his own understanding and his own way of doing things and allowing us this platform where we can now do the same with everyone else and all our other students, as well as anyone who is willing to listen or who's willing to share with us. We can have that communication now because of this, and that's where the art really flourishes, where it's not about FMA, it's not about karate, it's not about Kempo, it's just art. It's a very destructive art, don't get me wrong, because the martial is very prominent in that, but it is still a communication that happens between people and an expression of the individual. And that's all we've ever focused on. And to see it happen in real time and the entire class be on the same page at whatever level we happen to be at, that was a lot of fun. And I hope that we can continue doing that with newer students and getting them to the point where we can start sharing these, for lack of a better word, advanced ideas on how to really understand what it is you've been doing for the last year, 2 years, because it really changes the way that you express those movements and how effective they actually are against an opponent. So, thank you very much for joining me on another one of Nain's Shorts. Yeah, this was a fun one for me. So, until the next one, as usual, 3, 2, 1.